As Sandy had mentioned, I am James Crockett with Elgin Sweeper Company. I am the product manager for all the air sweepers. I'm also accompanied by Grand Turk Equipment, Gene Freed, who is the regional sales rep for Grand Turk, as well as Alan Ritchie, who will be doing the demonstration at George M. Bush Park this afternoon right after lunch. Sandy is handing out a copy of Elgin's white paper on porous pavement. That was just completed last month, pending the prior revision was outdated, so we brought it up to snuff. I also have copies of our literature for the Elgin Whirlwind in the back. Feel free to take one if you would like. Just to keep things on schedule, today I'm going to be just giving you a brief overview of Elgin's history, the reasons for sweeping, reasons to maintain permeability, and then I'm going to walk you through a Sweeping 101 course. Then I hope to help answer a lot of the unknowns and the questions that are out there about how to maintain permeability, when to maintain permeability, the cost to maintain and restore permeability, and then we'll just follow up with some Q&A. Before I begin though, yesterday we did go out to George M. Bush Park to do, just scope out the shape of the permeable pavement that's out there. It was in rough shape. I don't even think it's ever been maintained. So you're actually going to be in store for a very good demonstration of how to restore permeable asphalt. A brief history of Elgin Sweeper. We've been building, shipping, and cleaning streets since 1914. And since then, technology has evolved, and so has the complexity of customer applications. So with that, we've had to broaden our product portfolio to meet and exceed customer applications. Just a high-level overview, this is our guidebook for the product offering that we have in our portfolio. You can count 14 of them, but I know with all the variants that we offer in street sweepers, there's up to 18 different configurations you can get. And again, Elgin is the largest manufacturer of street sweepers in the world. Elgin Sweeper is also a part of the Environmental Solutions Group, division of Federal Signal Corporation. So in essence, we are a subsidiary of Federal Signal Corporation. Our goal is to help municipalities implement their Phase 2 stormwater goals. In the group, besides Elgin, is Vector Manufacturing. They manufacture sewer cleaners, jetters. They also specialize in the nozzles that are needed to do the jetting. There's also Guzzler Manufacturer, who manufactures industrial vacuum trucks, and Jetstream, who specializes in industrial high-pressure water blasting systems. So the historic reasons to sweep. Besides the number one, which everyone here is probably most aware of, it improves the aesthetics of the streets. But it also improves the water quality and the air quality by picking up the contaminants off the streets. It's also been proven to be a best management practice. So in essence, this all comes down to two fundamental points. We improve the environment and we improve public health. Reasons to maintain permeability. Well, I'm going to focus on one key point. With the market research that I have from ICP, the permeable interlocking concrete pavers, the market size is growing about 2% a year here in the States, and it's even growing at a faster rate up north in Canada. So by just sheer numbers, the volume of permeable pavement that's out there, we need to address it. It's going to become more of the norm. So all the more reason that you have to be familiar with maintaining permeable pavement. Also stating the obvious, you got to maintain infiltration. Maintaining infiltration helps reduce stormwater runoff, but also reduces the pollution to local watersheds. As Sandy already handed out, again, this is our white paper for porous pavement. that Elgin has put together. It is available on our public website at elginsweeper.com. I already spoke to Mary. She is going to be kind enough to also put a link to the township public website as well. So let's begin sweeping 101. Again, sweepers come in a vast array of sizes and shapes. There's different technologies. The three core technologies are vacuum, regenerative air, and a mechanical broom sweeper. So I'm going to discuss what a regenerative air sweeper is. As shown here is our crosswind. And a regenerative system, without making it too complicated here with my animated GIF, instead of the broom, it uses a hood. And underneath that hood, you're generating a vacuum. But it's a closed loop system. And it's better illustrated in my cutaway here. You're using a fan, provide pressurized air to the hood, blast it across the width of the truck. And on the other side, the suction end of the system is actually pulling the debris up, depositing into the hopper. Airflow comes up through the screens, gets filtered, and then the whole process starts over again. It is the second most common type of sweeper sold in North America. It's typically a very good, effective sweeper for light duty sweeping, such as just general municipal sweeping, picking up trash, litter, light sand, light dirt, light gravel, leaves, and other organics. It is not a true vacuum sweeper. The head doesn't permit enough concentrated vacuum to effectively remove silt from the pores or the joints of permeable pavement or interlocking concrete pavers on the road surface. So the recommendation is from Elgin is it's only suitable for routine maintenance of permeable pavement. Again, just to hit the key note, a regenerative air sweeper may provide acceptable results in a maintenance application, but it lacks the concentrated vacuum for effective restoration. Third, we're going to focus our attention on the pure vacuum sweeper. As shown is the Elgin Whirlwind. Again, we're going to be doing a demonstration this afternoon at Bush M Park on the restoration of porous asphalt using this product. My animated GIF here just shows that, again, that same debris is being picked up by these nozzles now, these high power density nozzles to pick up the debris. Still using a fan, but you're just essentially creating a vacuum here at the nozzle, picking up the debris, depositing it into the hopper, and then the exhaust, the air is just vented to atmosphere. It's the third most common technology sold in North America, accounting for about 5% of market sales. But for permeable pavement, it provides an inherent value proposition. It can effectively create a concentrated enough vacuum to remove silt and other sediment in the pores and in the joints of porous pavement. It's kind of like a Dyson vacuum on steroids, just to put it into perspective. We have 115 horsepower on this unit, and it generates the market leading airflow performance and a high vacuum concentration of 70 inches of water column. What does that mean? It extrapolates down to one number, which is a half a horsepower per square inch. Now, just to compare it to your common everyday shop vac with 1 horsepower motor, it doesn't equate to 1/10 of a horsepower per square inch. So again, this point is just to illustrate the practicality of using a mobile shop vac in comparison to a pure vacuum sweeper. You're going to be more productive with the sweeper. So how to maintain? The pure vacuum design provides a concentrated vacuum that penetrates the permeable surface and essentially cleaning out the pores and the joints. We recommend it for both maintenance and restoration of permeable pavement. We've also found in our evaluations that the use of a high pressure water system, either mobile or what we offer on the truck in terms of a front spray bar, you can use that to blast the surface and essentially moving that impacted silt in the pores or in the joints and just dislodging it and breaking it up so you can then suck it up with the vacuum nozzle. We've done 2 recent maintenance, I don't want to even call them maintenance evaluations, they're actually more of a restoration evaluation late last year. The first one was in Council Bluffs, Iowa for the Lake Manawa Porous asphalt roadway. We had brought in a pure vacuum sweeper in there to do a demonstration. The customer was very concerned about seeds from trees that were planted nearby on this roadway that were falling onto this porous asphalt, and basically the polymer that binds the asphalt together is very sticky, and these seeds would get lodged into the pores and they couldn't back them out with their existing equipment. So we brought in our piece of equipment and noticeably we're able to get the seeds out of the pores. But at the same time, we decided to just test what the infiltration rating was. Now, I didn't have an infiltrometer at the time, so it was kind of just farmer engineering and testing, so to speak. So our pump is rated at 32 GPM. And what we did was we first did a high pressure blast of the surface. Actually, I'm going to step back 1 minute. We actually ran our pump for 1 minute, 32 gallons went onto the road surface, and it stood there. And it stood there. After 5 minutes, we got tired of looking at it. So what we did was we ended up using our high pressure system and blasted the surface and then went over it with our vacuum nozzle. Then I used the same pump again and dispensed 32 gallons of water over the course of 1 minute. By the time that 1 minute was up, there was no standing water. Noticeable, visible difference. Several speakers had mentioned about what type of a schedule to use to maintain a permeable surface. It's not really defined. And I kind of still have the same philosophy as at least a minimum of getting out there twice a year with an air sweeper. It's really dependent though on several variables. The soil composition at the site, its proximity to, in this case, a volleyball court. But also geography too plays into the equation. I do suggest that installing a sign so that the casual passerby will know that it is a permeable surface. So when landscaping activities are conducted at the site, they don't dump mulch onto it, or during the winter they don't spread sand onto the site for traction. Cost to maintain and restore. Again, I'm going to fall back onto the 2 recent evaluations that we've done at the City of Denver and in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Again, these are the 2 roadways, both porous asphalt, and you can see the delineated areas outlined in red is where the test was done. And most noticeably, you can see the difference after going through. There's still standing water on the side of the roadway, but after we go through, the water just it acts like a sponge again. It's what it's supposed to do. Proper infiltration has been restored. So with these recent evaluations, we were able to get an estimate on the baseline cost to maintain these surfaces. Maintenance can run approximately 15 cents per square foot. But if you notice, if you don't follow an annual routine maintenance schedule, the cost to restore is going to be 4 times as expensive. So it's best to be proactive at maintaining these surfaces. So this pretty much concludes my presentation, but I just wanted to show a video that we captured up in Toronto at their ICP test site, where we demonstrated and did a restoration of PICP, again using the Elgin whirlwind, and you can just see that it it just pulls that silt plug right out of the joint. And after we're done doing our demonstration, they just broom in the sand, the granular filler, right after we're done. But what you also get the added benefit of seeing the restoration of the porous asphalt this afternoon. So with that, does anyone have any questions? Yes.
What do these sweepers cost, just in round numbers, like a mechanical, the second one, the third one?
Yeah. Gene, can you answer this gentleman's question? He asked, what are the costs of a mechanical, a regen, and a pure vacuum sweeper from Elgin?
Okay. Mechanical four-wheel machine, go with the Broom Bear, which is a single-engine four-wheel mechanical. They're coming in at about $225,000 with the chassis. A regenerative air machine is about $220 chassis mounted, and a vacuum is about $240.
Okay.
All in like chassis. That's ballpark.
Was there another question?
I had one. What's the difference in life expectancy between pervious and impervious pavement? I mean, I guess I'm not from the construction field, but I would think that if water's going in between, and especially in the winter, if it's freezing and then thawing, or freezing and thawing, that the pavement is going to break up faster. Is that something that everybody knows?
Now, coming from the OEM side and tackling the maintenance issue, I'm not too familiar and I don't have the quantitative data to really answer that question. But I can absolutely say that if you maintain that surface, you're going to see longer life expectancy from it. Again, sorry I couldn't provide you any quantitative information on that. Yes, sir.
On the porous pavement, there's usually 4 foot of stone underneath, so during the freezing and thawing, it runs down in there. So
Yes.
it's not laying in the blacktop, so it's generally in a parking lot, so it'll last a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, as long as he brought up that issue, I would like to know a couple things. And one is, and maybe you don't know this one either, but the comparison between absorption into or infiltration into the pavers compared to asphalt, how do they compare?
Yeah, again, coming from the OEM side, I'm trying to help facilitate the how to maintain the surface as opposed to what the infiltration rating is. I can definitely say that in the porous asphalt, we were seeing up to 122 inches. In terms of the interlocking concrete pavers, maybe Mark may have a better response to that.
We were talking the new PMP manual out there. What was the question?
The question was, what's the difference in infiltration rating for like a porous asphalt in contrast to permeable interlocking concrete pavers?
Both are designed so that it's not the limiting factor. I mean, that's probably not a particularly satisfying answer. But you look at your subsurface infiltration and be sure that you have adequate pore capacity so that it is never the limiting factor. You're going to find that they all are going to infiltrate 10 to 12 inches an hour. And if you look at the PMP manual, anything over, say, 5 or 6, you probably should be looking at slowing it down anyway.
I mean, excuse me if I'm not accurate on this point, but in some instances, either system is designed for the 100-year storm event, which may be excessive or extreme, but coming from that vantage point, they should perform.
Well, once again, you're right. I mean, the 100-year storm event, 8.35 inches, I think, in this area in rough terms. So yeah, I mean, you're looking that it'd get through the surface. But it really comes down to a design of how big that bucket is underneath it as to what storm it really carries. There's like 3 components. You've got that rate, you've got an overall volume of the storm as well, and then you have an intensity. And at the very highest intensities of a 100-year storm, it's probably still going to be shedding when it's not on.
Thank you.
Mark, there was also a question of comparing the traditional asphalt impervious surface versus pervious surfaces in terms of their life cycles. Are they comparable?
Oh, life cycles. That's a really good question. You should be designing for a 20-year life cycle on pavement, and that is with both of them. But it comes down to you design that pervious pavement that's a 20-year life cycle designed around the amount of vehicles that you're going to have traveling on it. So there are certain instances where permeable pavement would not be acceptable because you wouldn't achieve that 20-year life cycle. So it should be the same as long as the loading has been properly analyzed. One of the things you don't want to do is have this stuff in an area where you're going to have high turns. It does not do well with turning traffic. So you'll see it's not in the lane, but it's in the parking areas. Commensurate. Do you remember, Kevin, any of the comparison stuff from Rob's stuff? You know what, though? I think that Rob Traeger at Villanova is going to begin posting that stuff. I think really soon. That was, we're both on his via UP committee, and I think we asked him to start posting that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the data has shown that the material costs are very similar. You know, stone underlayment and everything, they're the same materials. However, the cost comparison becomes more dramatic when you're looking at the cost of the piping for all the conveyance systems for traditional stormwater management. That does not have to happen with permeable. So you can look at that because the basic construction materials are very, very similar. One of the other big differentials is the actual construction of that permeable surface has to be done very carefully by contractors that don't go out and compress the soil so that it becomes impermeable. So how they actually go out and manage the site, construct the site, where the equipment's used, they have to be very careful to not compact that soil because that's actually the magic that's helping that infiltration actually work.
That's pretty much exactly what I remember from the
Dr. Traeger, yeah.
From Traeger.
You're an experienced contractor.
Yeah.
It's laying the mix. Seen a number of times that come out
Yes, ma'am.
Do most towns have a sweeper? I think that would be a good question to ask, and if you do something like that, or what would you do?
I mean, yeah, that's a great question. Most townships do have a sweeper. Again, though, depending on the application, most could go with the mechanical sweeper. Cost plays into the equation, but basically the application. Are they going out there primarily spring cleanup and then tackling bulky debris? Or is it not a major spring cleanup and it's just really light duty sweeping? Those are all the variables that go into that. But if they don't have if they do have a sweeper and it's the proper technology, if it utilizes pneumatic conveyance, then yes, that equipment can be used. That's in their backyard for the maintenance of permeable pavement. Any other questions?